October 17th. Nice to meet you. Grab a coffee and let's talk about the realistic utopia of a fair society, as only a fair society will eliminate violence and war. And who doesn't want that? But to get there, we need to know what we are aiming for. It's not as easy as saying, I want peace. No. You have to get to a fair society. And what is that? What's our harbor where we want to land? So far, Rawls told us to go back to the original position. As I have shown, Rawls' original position is the moment in which the first group of humans came together to cooperate without any preconceptions of what this means, cooperating. The first task these humans faced, and we still face today, was finding common ground from which they could formulate shared goals. That's how cooperation works. Common ground, shared goals. The problem with this is that our brain is not capable of processing the data necessary to perceive the reality of a physical universe, nor do we pick up all the available data with our senses. We don't even come close, so no, we don't all have the same reality in our head. Our mind as a tool that turns any human in the best possible search engine to help the material things that make up our body to explore in order to get into their lowest energy state and to be in equilibrium with their surroundings, self-generates in quick succession models of a world that are mostly based on hypotheses. These models will vastly differ between humans. No common ground. To cooperate, these models of all members must be aligned, but not completely. In fact, since the main motivation shared between all the members to cooperate is an increased ability to execute random searches, these models must at the same time remain as diverse as possible. Random, diverse. The original position asks of us to come up with a data set, a set of definitions, structures, and rules for all members to implement into their world generation processes to accomplish this balance that will satisfy the one motivation all members share. Rawls said that it can be accomplished when we respect two overarching principles, namely the justice principle that defines the basic personal, political, and procedural liberties each member should equally enjoy, and the equality principle that defines the worth of these liberties. Together, they create a balance between the satisfaction of each member's goal to increase their ability to execute random searches and the offsetting of the high risk of this kind of searches for even the least successful. I talked about this before in all the videos that came before since January 1st. You can find them in my timeline here, or you can find transcripts of them at my blog, Hyperobject Mind. The link is in my bio. There's one other principle that Rawls included, which must be considered while contemplating both overarching principles, and that's the principle of sustainability and intergenerational justice. This principle is based on the acknowledgement of the environmental and ecological limits of growth. In Rawls' words, we have a fundamental duty to make possible the conditions needed to establish and preserve a just basic structure over time. It means that each one of us, when we come up with a data set that governs our cooperation, has a duty to choose the path that leads to sustainable development. What means development that increases the ability to execute random searches of even the least advantaged in the group without fear of failure, while it doesn't compromise the ability of future generations to do the same or even to meet their own basic needs. This, like nothing else in Rawls' work, puts us on the track to reconsider our definition of property. when we stick with the Roman law definition which we use today of property, in which ius abusus, the right to neglect and destroy, is the defining characteristic, none of our developments will be sustainable. On the contrary, this definition gives us the permission to exhaust and to suck dry whatever we consider our property whenever, wherever, and however we choose to. From a company we bought shares in, to a country we hold citizenship of, to the planet as a whole. The sustainability principle calls for a definition of property that connects property with the duty to care for this property, if not to improve what we have been entrusted with, so at least to preserve it. Without this redefinition, fairness of a society will not be achievable. And frankly, we will not survive because we will finish this planet. Suck it dry, exhaust it, finish it. Any thoughts? Tell me. Tell. Since our models of the world change with every new information we gather, and the models are only accessible to others when we communicate them because they only happen to be existing in our heads, we are part of never-ending negotiations about what dataset we are using in our corporations. That requires constant conversation and debate. So that's all I meant to say today, at least until tonight, when I cordially invite you into my kitchen. When I prep dinner tonight, it's chicken with peaches and pasta. And I will talk about the same thing as here, about the sustainability principle and a realistic utopia of a fair society. If that's not your cup of tea, I'll be back with another video. I will not promise again it will be tomorrow, because yesterday I was plagued by a migraine that made it impossible for me to see anything. So writing on a computer or doing these videos or doing my art wasn't possible. So I'm not promising a day again. So there will be another video in the very near future, hopefully tomorrow, about the same thing. Because I think the most important thing right now for all of us, the most important thing throughout history we should have talked about at all times, is the creation of a fair society. A really fair society that will eliminate war and violence. So with that, have a great day. Bye.